start out because we do the second hour. We have our normal people, but I'm going to go this first hour because I want to get into talking to Jeff McKissack. And I've known Jeff now for about a year. I started going to the to the Uptown Netweavers last year first time I really networked. And that place, it was just packed. It was over there at the Texas Land and Cattle, but it was like room 60 people every week, and the people were really vibrant. Jeff was, it's got a good philosophy. It's mushroomed into all these locations. That's where I network at. That's probably, we've talked about before, about picking a group that is the one that you want to work with, and I work with them. And so I think a lot of him, but what he does for a living other than do the Netweavers is it's defense by design, and he is a defense and protection coach and instructor. So he does personal defense. I've actually been to a couple of your seminars, Jeff, and he teaches you how to be aware. The awareness is the most. Well, I could sit here and talk to you about what he does, but I think he'd tell you better. But he's a real authority. He's been on television and Predator. I think, what was that program, Predator?
Well, no, it was Predators.tv, which is actually an online source for preventing violent crime against women and children.
Okay, and so and he's worked with the attorneys, I mean, with law enforcement and done luring and stuff. So, I mean, he's very well, and he speaks a lot to a lot of groups and shows them and gives them ideas. So, I'm sitting here and talk about him. I'm just going to bring him into the conversation. So I want to welcome to the show, and I'm so glad you came, Jeff McKissack.
Well, thank you for having me, Kathy.
Yes, Jeff, I'm so happy to have you here. We did our one-on-one the other day, but we've done several one-on-ones through the time, and we call that's probably a business networking term, but I'm really thrilled to have you on tonight. I mean, tonight. It seems like tonight, but today. And so I want you to describe, because I was trying to, what you do.
Well, in a nutshell, as I tell people when I have my 30-second spot and fame in the networking groups, is I teach you how to spot trouble before trouble spots you. Plain and simple, that's what I do. I help make people more aware of situations that could put them in a situation where they have to defend themselves physically, and hopefully see that on the psychological side first before getting into an actual physical encounter. And that could be everything from road rage to a violent assault to just two guys with their egos clashing in a nightclub somewhere. Whatever the situation may be, there are definite signs of teaching people how to spot trouble before that trouble spots them.
So it's not as much about physical defense as mental, or is that what? Right.
I mean, I teach both, but the vast majority of what I do is on the psychological profiling and threat assessment side. Because again, if you learn to spot these things and therefore avoid them, guess what? You don't have to use the hands and the feet and all the rest to come into play.
Yet I took your course, and you did show us that when somebody accosts you, exactly what to do and some moves to do.
Right.
And we went through those as a drill and practiced them pretty good till we got them down. And you use a special kind of method. It's called KFM.
Well, that's one of the things I've done. I mean, I've had 23 years of training a lot of different styles across the United States and teaching for about 20 of those 23 years. I started in Taekwondo, went into karate, went in ninjutsu. I've had training in a lot of other different systems. I'm actually a speaker this July at the National Martial Arts Super Show in Las Vegas at the MGM.
You're a three-belter, aren't you?
3 and plus a lot of other training.
Golly.
But, honestly, though, people think a big deal about that. I don't make a big deal about that. Because whether you got your black belt at a Taekwondo school or karate school or you got a JCPenney, it's just a piece of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
What really counts is what you've ingrained into your psyche that allows you to avoid situations or de-escalate situations so that you never have to use what you learn physically. That's the key.
Yeah, and of course, he looks real nice here, but in a suit and some glasses, you look like, I'm just looking for the bud in your ear to be a CIA officer for the president, because you do it, and I guess that's just that's one of the things you teach is how you look and how your image is. We talk about image here, and you can give off that just in the way your manner is. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, a good bit of what I'm really doing in educating people right now has to do with the terms of predator and prey. We see the word predator as something that's a negative. To catch a predator, we think of that show where child molesters are brought in and lured into a situation where then they're captured. Well, the funny thing to me is I look at a show like that and go, I fill in the blank. In other words, to catch a predator, you have to be a predator. You have to know how they think, how they operate in order to capture one of them. So really, it is a persona because there's only two types of roles you play in society. You're the predator or you're prey. And again, unfortunately, we think that predator is a negative thing, yet we are genetically engineered as predators as human beings. Otherwise, we would not be at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, you mentioned that the other day that women go shopping. That's
Oh yeah, I tell women all the time, don't tell me you're not predators because I've seen you ladies in the mall the day after Thanksgiving during
Yeah.
Black Friday. Do not tell me you're not a predator.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
you know, we've all been born with certain skill sets. Unfortunately, what happens about age 5 or so, our parents defang and declaw us so they can send us to school.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
we've all been domesticated for the most part until 5, 10, 20 years later we run into someone at a club or on a college campus or in a mall parking lot somewhere whose parents didn't defang and declaw them. Now, who's going to have an advantage there? So again, unfortunately, what a lot of parents have done over the years, and now we're the result of it, is they have tamed what Mother Nature intended to be trained.
Well, rightfully, I mean, there is a place for it. Like you said, you know, I guess it used to be probably maybe more fights in the schoolyard, but now it's just, yeah, I think liability. I'll let the lawyer talk about that. You know, somebody get in a fight at school, the school gets in trouble, and the teacher and everything, and everybody's being sued. So maybe that's a lot to do with it. But when you are looking, you know, when you're looking, we talked about somebody. You're out there wearing like shopping. I always hear about these shopping areas. You're going out to your car, you know, carrying your little groceries. So, or you're in the store. You can even maybe even pick up on someone following you in. What personality traits should you be on the lookout for when you're scanning that parking lot or that venue to see, you know, to become aware?
Yeah, well, obviously you're looking for someone who's obviously looking at you. But the other thing is, I think the thing that puts people off, years ago we were in a kindergarten class in Jacksonville, Florida, and we had a news crew with us. And we asked a group of kindergartners, what does a stranger look like? And of course, the kids shot up their hands, and one kid responded by saying, oh, it's somebody who wears a mask, like a raccoon mask or something. Another little girl says, those people that sleep on the parks and, you know, at night on the benches. So it's always the scary people, not the nice, friendly person asking to find a lost puppy. But we as adults, we have the same stereotypes. We always think if we're going to be attacked, it's always going to be a man. Not necessarily so. A pretty young girl has definitely been known to be used as a lure to lure a man or a woman into a position of vulnerability. Children have been used. Elderly have been used. A lot of different types of people have been used. And you learn very quickly there's a difference between profiling and stereotyping. Stereotyping, never, never good. Profiling, very, very good. And so learning that that same nice, friendly person that's got a great look, that's well-educated, that's articulate, that's charming, like maybe Joran Vandersloot. Good example.